The Inkatha Freedom Party's Youth Brigade is holding its Youth Day rally at Mofolo Park in Soweto. SABC News reporter Ntlantla Kgatlhane joins us live for more. A very good afternoon to you, Ntlantla. Just describe what's been taking place there.
Well, a very good day indeed, Nzinga, coming to you right here from Mofolo Park, where the IFP Youth Brigade is set to hold its June 16 event. You heard earlier when we spoke to the youth leaders of the party, they saying that today it's all about young people, saying that their message from the president of the IFP is going to be centered around, challenges that the youth face. You know that there's high level of unemployment, youth facing challenges of drugs. But with me, I'm with the IFP, Mr. Thengwa here, who's going to speak to us a little bit more about, today. Thank you so much for your time, Mr. Thengwa. We managed to speak to a couple of people, young people, ask them a question that, is there anything to celebrate? And they say, it's very hard for them to say there is nothing. As young people, they are still unemployed. Your comments to that?
Well, to say the country is in a crisis would be an understatement. If you look at the extent of the mismanagement of public funds, the ripple effect on that, of course, is an economy that continues to struggle and not deriving the necessary dividends for young people, particularly around the issues of employment. The extent to which unemployment continues to be a perennial headache for South Africa is the clearest indication to date that there's very little to celebrate. Instead of progress, very regressive, development is taking place in the country. And of course, this is no surprise. It speaks to the policy uncertainty which characterizes the government. It speaks to a government that is speaking from all sides of its mouth. And all those things combined really have got a material impact on young people. You look at the energy crisis, the energy uncertainty. It doesn't bode well for economic growth. It doesn't bode well for job creation. Eskom is one of the biggest risks as things stand now to South Africa actually taking the necessary steps for development moving forward. Because nobody's going to invest in a country that really finds itself, on the hooks of load shedding. But on top of that, what is fundamentally clear is that state capture is not a reality of the past. State capture remains a reality today. It's probably taken a different form, and therefore that in itself speaks to an ANC that is beyond compromise and is unable to manage the affairs of the country in a manner that inspires confidence. But beyond that, a manner which will actually lift young people out of unemployment. You look at the issues of development insofar as infrastructure is concerned, and you begin to realize that we're taking a step back. Look at PRASA, which is fundamentally the backbone of the economy. If people can't commute, people can't go to get jobs, go to the areas of employment, particularly because of the spatial planning of the past, where the majority of our people, black South Africans, are at the periphery of economic activity. It's either you make it easy for them to get to where economic activities are taking place, or you begin a new economic trajectory where they live. It is all good and well to rush to save SAA, but to what end? Flying is a mode of transport for the elite. The majority of our people depend on rail, and it's been an absolute failure. It's an absolute mess, and you do not get a sense that government has got a firm grip on the issues of commuting, because it's got a material bearing on economic activity. Lastly, you are saddled with ever increasing fuel prices. That in itself as well has got a material impact on young people, either going to school, to institutions of higher learning. If you look at the shortage of residences and so on, the impact it has on food, security and so on. So ultimately, from whatever vantage point you look at it, the country is in trouble. But beyond that, the people who bear the brutal brunt of that trouble is young people, because they are victims of it today and will be the victims of it tomorrow if the situation actually doesn't change. So whilst we commemorate June 16 and the heroism of June 16, 1976, a generation that stood up and wanted to be counted and wanted to make a material difference in their own lives, if you fast forward now to 2022, you begin to realize that young people in South Africa have been given a hard road deal, which is actually having a negative impact on their lives.
One last question from me. With regards to everything that you have highlighted, it begs the question that what should be done? You know, today is a very significant day for young people. 46 years ago, young people took a stand against government, which they felt was unfair. They left, they wrote their names in the history books. What can be done today that can change the lives of young people?
We need a change of government. So that you can bring about stability, you bring about certainty in terms of policy, and you need a breath of fresh air. The people who are in government now are sitting in a comfort zone. For them, it's just a job. It's not service to the people. And so that is fundamentally important. But beyond that, of course, is the fact that you need a heightened youth activism in the decision-making spaces, whether it's at local government, provincial government, and also in business. We need to begin building up a cadreship of administrators who are going to be able to run parallel the political leadership, but also at the same time we need to recognize that we're not just elements for elections, which every 5 years. There has to be a daily activism in this regard and holding government to account. There are serious reforms that need to take place in the governance space, particularly Parliament, to make sure that you strengthen the outlook of oversight and accountability. And at this point in time, it finds itself very weak, and if any further damage happens to it, it will become a runaway train. So the clarion call we are making today is for young people to be active participants in the political space, but also at the same time begin building up an economy that is going to create jobs. You see, the biggest regret is this. The president backtracked on a very fundamental policy position in February when he came to the full realization that government doesn't create jobs, that it's business that does that. Is a conducive and enabling environment for businesses to operate could not be more urgent. It speaks to infrastructure development, it speaks to it's basic things, maintaining roads, ensuring access to electricity. It is building up the necessary knowledge, skills and expertise in our education system that respond to the needs of the job market. And so what you are finding is that those basic things are not happening, and therefore having a material effect, a negative effect on young people. But at the heart of it is that in 2024, South African youth have got a fundamental responsibility to history, the present and the future to ensure that the ANC is voted out.
Thank you so much. There you go, Nzinga, IFP, saying that, youth needs to take an active role when it comes to participation, saying that, with all the challenges that the country is facing, especially amongst young people, the country needs a change of government. We know that as this event continues, we expect that the IFP president is going to speak today. But with that being said, it's back to you in studio.